Good to be back with you again this week. Thanks to Carolina for shooting this video. I'm glad that you've decided to tune in, and welcome. This past week I preached a sermon that had a lot to do with hope, and I was pleasantly surprised after the service from some of the comments of people at coffee hour and some of the things I heard over the internet that it really rang a bell with people, because I think we're all looking for hope. Hope pertains to what lies ahead in the future. Is it going to be good or is it going to be bad? And hope is a disposition that we have spiritually, psychologically, mentally, that is going to be good. That when it arrives, whatever day that may be, that we'll be able to handle what comes in that day. And by the help of God and other people, we'll get through. And the outcome will be good. So hope is important to all of us, and I want to talk a little bit more about that today. I didn't use it in the sermon on Sunday. I go through all kinds of different material during the course of the week, and I try to whittle it down to something intelligible and somewhat compact. But there was a physician who's involved with Harvard Medical School and I think Beth Israel Hospital in Boston. His name is Jerome Groopman, and he wrote a book called The Anatomy of Hope. He is a doctor and oncologist who deals with people who are diagnosed with cancer and then being treated accordingly. And in this book, he talks about how important hope is as a disposition to a patient who's undergoing all kinds of uncertainty, a feeling of everything being turned upside down in their lives. What will the future bring? Will I be okay? Will I be able to handle this? And so forth. And he says that hope is an elevating feeling that a person gets when that person is presented with a plan, a course of action that can be taken in cooperation with the physician and with the other people in the healthcare industry, that when they undergo it and they go through it, the result of it and the outcome will be favorable, and it's hopeful. And it gives them the courage and the resolve to go through this much better than if they were feeling not only uncertain about what the future holds, but also in it alone. So hope is a big thing for him. And he talked about his own experience of hope as a patient himself with another physician attending to him. He was having all kinds of back problems and had undergone some surgeries to try to correct and relieve the pain that he was experiencing in his back, and nothing seemed to be working. So he went to some highly reputable surgeon and physician who specializes in back and so forth. And they went through all the tests, they did the x-rays, and then they met together. And Dr. Groopman's physician, this back doctor, I don't remember his name, said basically to him, "You have been sacrificing your life to the god of pain." And what does that mean? What the doctor meant by that is, anytime you felt any twinge of pain in your back, you have immediately sought some kind of relief from the pain. And one of the things you've gone through a couple of times to try to relieve yourself of this difficulty and this pain are these surgeries. And actually, it's been counterproductive. It has not helped you. In fact, it's made you worse. It's made you worse because anytime you exert yourself, you'd feel pain and you'd stop exerting yourself. You're going to have to live through the pain, and you're going to have to go through whatever it is you're doing, regardless of the amount of pain, because as you do so, your back muscles will strengthen and you'll be so much better off. Right now, your back muscles are so depleted and atrophied and weakened that no wonder you're feeling pain. So you're going to have to feel pain in order to not feel pain. And this will result in a good outcome. So Dr. Groupman, knowing how hope and having a plan for the future is good, decided to entrust himself into this physician's care. And lo and behold, it worked. And it got me to thinking, even though I didn't use it in the sermon, about how in order to really have hope, we have to be able to go through the difficulty. And as we go through the difficulty, we become stronger and our character becomes better. There was a theologian last century named Paul Tillich who wrote about a number of different things. One of them was the courage to be. In other words, the courage to actually live. And he said this interesting thing about courage. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is the willingness to go through what you must go through in spite of the fear. And so it's not the absence of fear, it is going through it nevertheless. And as you do this, you strengthen your courage muscles, shall we say. And you become a stronger person, and as a stronger person, you have more hope. Tillich also talked about how health is not necessarily the absence of disease, but to be a healthy person is someone who can tolerate and withstand disease and has an immune system that can counteract the threat of the disease. So it's not the absence of it, it's being able to live in spite of the disease. Kind of like in spite of the pain, Dr. Groupman had to keep going in order to have hope. Tillich also says faith. Take faith, for example. Faith is not the absence of doubt, but it is the willingness to maintain your integrity psychologically and motivationally in spite of the doubt that you have. And so it's not the absence of doubt, it's going through ahead and holding fast to who you are and what you truly believe in spite of the doubts. And so I want to conclude this by challenging people. Often as pastor, people will come to me hoping I will relieve them of some of their stress, some of their fear, some of their doubts, and so forth. And rather than me relieving you of any of those conditions, I'm encouraging you to go through them in spite of the difficulty that you're facing. And as you do, you will become stronger in the process, and the future will not seem so fearful and daunting. You will know that whatever comes a week from now, a month from now, a year from now, you will be able to handle, and you will be able to endure, because you are practicing day by day going through the difficulty in spite of the pain, in spite of the illness, in spite of the doubt, in spite of the worry, and so forth. You're going through it. And one of the things we try to advise people on is to realize you're not in this alone, that God is with you in an invisible yet wonderful way, and God will surprise you by providing you with the resources you need when you need them. Not only that, but one of the things we try to do in this church is to try to come together in mutual support, so that when someone is going through a difficult time, they're not going through it alone. And that gives you hope for the future. You know you won't be there alone. And so, to summarize, simply to say, if you want to develop hope, which certainly most people are indicating to me that hope is really important in life, you're going to have to go through the difficulty. And I'm here to help you and to advise, but fundamentally it will be your own willingness to affirm yourself and your circumstances in spite of the difficulty. And that's what we're doing here as a church. And that God is with you, the church is with you, and I'll be looking forward to being with you again in some setting, maybe not the church library here, but the next time we record, and I'll share some more things with you. I'll be there with you in the future. See you until then. Bye now.